Hi, I'm Christy Rost. Today's show is inspired by a trip to Alaska, where Randy and I were treated to freshly caught coho salmon cooked over a live fire. We're preparing Alaskan king salmon today using the same technique. With skillet potato wedges and baked honey apples, it's going to be a great show. I'm going to start with the honey baked apples. And so I have a piece of parchment paper here. I'm using some Cosmic Crisp apples because they aren't going to brown inside. And I'm going to fill this with all kinds of yummy things. So I'm going to start with some Rainier cherries. These are dried Rainier cherries. Oh, that one fell. Good. Okay, and some raisins. And you can use whatever you have. I mean, dried cranberries are really, really good. A little bit of allspice. And what we did was cored out the apple. I saved the top because I'm going to put that on at the last minute. And when you core the apple, make sure you leave about a ½ inch at the bottom so that all the goodness doesn't come out of the apple as it bakes. Then I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon to this. This is Saigon cinnamon, which is my favorite because it's so pungent. And a little piece of butter there. Then put on the lid, just like that. And that's going to help hold everything in. Close up this piece of parchment, just like this. Oh, I forgot the honey. Let's put the honey in. So this is little bear honey. Just get an extra little touch of sweetness. There we go. Yum. Put the lid back on. Fold it up. Just like that. And then I have a piece of foil. I'm going to wrap it in the foil. The foil is going to hold everything together. I bring up the sides like this. And then the top, like this, and do this side. What you want to do is enclose it all the way so the apple steams nicely, but you also, it's very helpful if you leave a little top here, because then I'll take some tongs and put them directly into the coals of the fire. So let's do that. Hey, Randy. Can you help me? I'm just gonna let Randy do this. Can you go ahead and put each of these into the fire for me?
Sounds good.
So we're gonna put them directly into the coals. These will probably take about 30 minutes, which is why I'm doing them first. But it's, you know, life's short, eat dessert first, or in this case, cook it first. And then he's covering up the apples with the coals.
That's good.
I think it looks great. Okay, speaking of great, would you put the grate on top of the fire for me, please? Super. So now that the apples are baking in the coals, now I'm going to do the skillet potatoes. So I have this beautiful Heston skillet. It is stainless steel with a titanium coating on it, so it can really take the high heat. And so I just put in some bacon fat that I saved from another time that I used, and I'm going to add in some potatoes. Now these are wedges, which will take a little less time to cook than if you put in like a whole potato or a half a potato. And you can tell this is hot because you can already hear the sizzle. And that's really, anytime I'm doing any kind of sauteing or cooking on the stove, you always want to hear that sizzle and you know that things are really happening. And in this case, they're really happening right here on the campfire. So live fire cooking is really different from any other kind of cooking in that you have a little less control of the heat intensity, but by moving your pan around or your grill pan or whatever around, you can kind of control how much heat there is. So these aren't going to take a real long time, and I'm just going to let them start to brown a little bit, and then I'll add in some onion. So the potatoes are browning beautifully in this bacon fat. I'm just going to pull it back from the fire for a moment and add in some onion. I have about a half cup of sweet onion that's been chopped. It's not going to take that very long to cook. And I think at this time I'll go ahead and season too while I have my glove off. And so I have some black pepper, just freshly grind that in there, and some of the salt seasons. This is the pink Himalayan salt. Potatoes always need a good amount of salt. And by this time, those apples are probably about half done, which is lovely. We'll give this a quick stir. And see, I don't even have it really over the fire at the moment because the pan is so hot. And those onions are already caramelizing. Oh yeah, woo! Okay, so every now and then I'm gonna give these a stir, but I'm just gonna pull it off the heat as much as I can. Randy, are you ready to start the salmon? See if I can rescue this potato here.
Yep, I think we'll be about ready for that.
Okay, good. Well, I'm gonna pull this over where it's not as hot.
That's good.
Okay, let's do the salmon. So now we've got this gorgeous Alaskan king salmon, and we're putting it into this grill basket. And it has a lid, which is really important because we're going to flip the salmon as it cooks. And so I've cut it about 2.5 inches wide slices right down the middle. The end parts would cook at a different time, so we're actually going to save that for something else. And just put these beautiful fillets here. I'm going to make up a sauce, and it's super quick sauce. Then I'll brush that over the salmon periodically. Ready? So Randy's gonna put this over the fire. While you do that, I'm going to make up the sauce. Super easy. I have about a half cup of butter. I'm getting smoked out, truly. Half cup of butter, which is already melting. Woo. And 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Thanks for stirring those, Leanne. I have a half of a lemon here. I'm going to squeeze that in. And then I have some white wine, and I'm using a Chardonnay. I think if you use something with a lot of acid like a Sauvignon Blanc or something, that would be a little too much, Pinot Grigio. So I'm using this Chardonnay. And I'm going to put this on the fire, and that won't take very long to melt that butter. So where I got the recipe for the sauce and for the way to cook the salmon was when we were in Alaska. We took a float plane out of Juneau, and I'd never been on a float plane before, but I got to be the co-pilot, which is really cool. And it was very cold that day, and the sole job of the co-pilot is to take the towel and wipe the windshield for the pilot. And but I still earned my wings that day, and we landed. Well, we flew over glaciers.
Five
Glaciers, okay. And then we landed in a river, and we went to this historic lodge that was so charming. And when we arrived, there was a young guy cooking salmon like this for about 40 people. And so he had this massive grill basket that he just would flip it, and then flip it again, and flip it again, and that's how I got inspired to do this. And they had just caught coho salmon that very morning. So this salmon is courtesy of my friends at Alaska Seafood, and it is a king salmon. So why don't you tell about our king salmon? I mean, that is such a cool story.
So we went king salmon fishing, and one thing that's fun in Alaska is even if we don't catch the salmon, but I caught a king salmon, and Christy caught a halibut.
I caught a halibut.
Is that the sightseeing? We had whales next to the boat, we had eagles overhead, and just a scenic fishing trip.
I'm gonna move these off the fire now. It was really wonderful. And the halibut was really exciting to catch. You want me to put this over here? Okay, are we ready to give the salmon a baste and then turn it?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay, are we ready to do that?
Yes.
Okay, let's baste the salmon. And I can do it right through this little grill basket, which is nice. But I think one of the great things about travel is the food that you eat and the culinary experiences that you have, and then you bring them home and you recreate some of those same experiences that you just had on a wonderful trip. And it was our first time to go to Alaska. So this was one of the highlights for sure. And I love coming home with new recipe ideas. So I actually interviewed the young man who was doing the salmon. Okay, flip, whoops, flip. Perfect. Okay, you see how the skin is getting really brown? By the time the salmon is finished, and it should take about 20 minutes, by the time it's finished, that skin will probably be black. And I was told that that's most desirable because then that skin peels right off. And you've got this beautiful piece of fish without having to worry about a piece of skin too. So this is really a complete meal, all on the fire ring with smoke and heat and great flavors, but simple foods, simple foods. The potatoes are ready. I bet the apples are probably ready. We'll pull those off at the end. So let's give these a few minutes to cook on this side and then we'll flip them again. I'm going to give these a final baste on the skin side, and it's already turning darker. It's a good thing, just what we want. And the color of this fish is pretty magnificent. Randy, you ready to give it a turn?
Sure am.
Okay, here you go.
Ooh,
Oh,
look at
magnificent.
that. And if you can
This is truly,
go ahead and baste those again.
I will. This is truly great Alaskan eating, no matter where you are. It's great live fire cooking too. It's real simple to do this. So this fish is pretty much ready to go. By now the apples are ready. So I think what we'll do is we'll take the salmon off the fire. Potatoes are set to go. We'll get the apples out of the fire. We'll open all that up, get everything plated, and we're ready to go. One of the keys to cooking the salmon that I learned in Alaska was if you spray with water, you'll create smoke, and that helps smoke the salmon, and then you get all that wonderful flavor in there. So I always keep a water bottle now so that I can just add a little more of that smoky flavor to the salmon. So the skin is black. Randy, you ready to do the final turn? And I think maybe it's ready. Look at that. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous color. So we're ready to plate all this. Apples should be done, potatoes are done, salmon's done. I'm hungry, let's do it. Okay, so here come the potatoes. Boy, they're gorgeous. I love how roasted they are, the beautiful brown.
And now the salmon.
And the salmon.
Look how black that is.
It's perfect, Randy.
Perfect.
Just perfect. Reminds me of Alaska. Okay, and then can you open that? You want these?
Yeah, I want these to open it.
Yeah.
That's hot.
While you do that, I will dish out potatoes on this plate for your salmon. So we'll put that here. How about that? Beautiful.
Look at that.
Oh, it's spectacular. Here, you want a spatula?
No, here.
Oh, you got something?
Got this.
Excellent.
Here's a
I'm keeping a spatula handy just in case.
Yeah, give me a
Here
spatula.
you go.
There.
And if the skin sticks, that's fine because we want that to come off anyway. Wow. Oh, I just can't think of more beautiful fish. Isn't that pretty?
And the skin came off automatically.
Yep.
Look at those.
Beautiful.
Wow.
I'm going to add potatoes here because I'm going to save this other plate for the apples. Ooh, we'll get some potatoes there.
Okay.
I'm going to move out of your way. Hot grate.
Hot grate.
Hot grate. Okay. And then I'm going to dash across here and pick up these apples. And see the way we fold them up, they have a little place to grab. Just like that. And they stand upright, which is wonderful. I think I'll take 2 out for now. The others I'm going to just put to the side. Woo, that's hot. I'm going to put these right here on the stones. I can hear them sizzling in there. That's a good sign. Okay, I think I'm going to need some gloves to open these up. These are going to be really hot. Oh, thank you. Can I have your other gloves? Your smaller ones? These are a little massive for... Thank you. You know, while I do this, I want you to know about one of the most fabulous places we went. It's something I'll never forget. Our ship took us to the Hubbard Glacier, and then Randy and I signed up for an extra excursion, and we got on a small boat with about maybe 40 other people, something like that. Yeah, and it took us out to the Hubbard Glacier. Now, the Hubbard Glacier is one of the only glaciers in the world that is still stable. In other words, it's, oh, and look inside here. See how the parchment got all brown? Isn't that pretty? In other words, the ice is not melting at a greater rate than it is forming. It was massive. And what is so beautiful about it is that thank you. That particular day, the glacier was calving a lot. And calving means shearing of ice coming off. And some of the calving was so large that we actually had to have our boat move back some because it does cause a wake in the water. But the ice looks blue, almost like a sky blue. And it was so beautiful. Now, it was cold. It was raining. It rained every day that we were on our cruise, but we didn't care. I was dressed in all the same stuff I wear up here to keep warm in the winter, and I took that all with me. So we stood out on that boat for 2.5 hours in the rain, in the cold, and just watched and took photos and enjoyed one of the most magnificent stories of nature, I think. It was spectacular. I loved it. So I highly recommend if you ever get to go to Alaska, or you've been but you've not been to the Hubbard Glacier, it is an unforgettable experience. And then when we got back to our ship, we were hungry, we were tired, we were dry, we wore all the right stuff. We had a Gore-Tex on, so we were dry. And we just had the most beautiful evening celebration with salmon. Ooh, and here's the top. So I could take the little tops off. Oh, this is beautiful. Wow. I don't know if you can see this, but we've got the melted butter, the honey in here, the Grenier cherries, the raisins, cinnamon, allspice. This is the perfect and very simple finish to a really glorious Alaskan-inspired meal. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. Thank you for joining us today on At Home with Christy Rost, where great food, beautiful wines, and hospitality are always a tradition. I'd love to hear from you, so please connect with me on my Instagram or Facebook pages. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Salt Seasons and Little Bear Honey, and of course our good friends at Heston Culinary Cookware, Melissa's Produce, and Alaska Seafood. See you next time.